Welcome back. Let's take a look now at Sutra 247, the second of the three sutras which Patanjali includes in the Yoga Sutras to help us understand the role of asana and how to maximize it for the purpose of reaching samadhi. Prāṇaśakti ananta samapatibhyam. Perfection in asana is attained by loosening of the tension caused by effort and by mental absorption in the infinite. In this sutra, Patanjali lays out the criteria for perfection in asana. According to him, precision is more important than how long and how vigorously we practice. Precision in asana practice has two components. First, the effort involved must not cause fatigue or create tension. Second, when we reach the peak of the posture, we must stay there for a while and allow our mind to be absorbed in the space that fills our body and the space surrounding us. We must stay there for a while and allow our mind to be absorbed in the space that fills our body and the space surrounding us. You'll often hear me say things like, the space in which the body is held. That's what I'm talking about. Practicing asana effortlessly is a subtle and highly technical process involving motion. The law of inertia states that an object at rest tends to stay at rest, and an object in motion tends to stay in motion unless a contrary force is exerted on that object. An object resists the exertion caused by a contrary force. During the practice of asana, we need to apply the force of will to pull our body out of its initial inertia. Following the law of physics, the body will pass through the moment of inertia, which is the time required to overcome its initial inertia and move. In relation to an inert object, the moment of inertia is quantifiable and the subsequent change is easily predictable. The moment of inertia can also be quantified in relation to our body. But because it is imbued with will and intelligence, the subsequent motion is not easily predictable. The subtle forces of will and intelligence grant us the privilege of increasing or decreasing the resistance to motion. Therefore, we can choose to practice asana with significant effort or with relatively less effort. Effort causes resistance. Resistance engenders tension, and tension constricts our cells and tissues. Constricted blood vessels cannot supply sufficient nutrients to our limbs and organs, nor can constricted cells absorb sufficient nutrients from the blood. Furthermore, constriction stiffens our connective tissue, causing a reduction in the overall elasticity of our body. If we apply force, it will cause pain. Pain further intensifies tension. If we persist in applying extra effort, we may injure ourselves. The lesson we learn from that is not to make an effort while practicing asana. But if we do not make an effort, how can we advance in our practice? The solution is to make an effort effortlessly. Here is how. First, find the baseline of your comfort. To do this, lie on your back in Shavasana, relax and breathe gently and smoothly. As you pay attention to the gentle, even flow of your breath, your heart, lungs, and other internal organs relax. Your nervous system and brain calm down, and your connective tissues soften and become smooth. After a few minutes, gently get up and do some simple stretching. This will bring your body to a place where you will be able to assess your baseline comfort. You may notice that very often in this style of teaching of asana, and the style that I subscribe to, we begin the practice either in Shavasana or in Makarasana, or perhaps hands and knees moving through cow and cat gently. Finding our baseline of comfort and effortlessness so that we can navigate that baseline throughout the duration of the practice, knowing where we want to apply ourselves just a little bit more in order to maintain a level of engagement with the practice without pushing ourselves too hard or too far. Now, move into your desired posture. So after having established your baseline, for example, if you are practicing a standing forward fold, fold forward until you approach your threshold of discomfort. Do not go beyond your current range of flexibility and strength. Just stay at the threshold of your discomfort. In other words, continue forward folding until you reach the point where your brain is just beginning to register a physical and mental response. If you have not reached the threshold of discomfort, your brain will not register a response. Stay in the pose effortlessly, which is possible only when you are breathing diaphragmatically without holding tension in the lower back, pelvis, or abdominal area. Each time you inhale, and especially when you exhale, you will notice that you are bending further effortlessly. If you are not making a deliberate effort to move deeper into the stretch, and if your attention is on the smooth, gentle, even flow of your breath, you will know when you are just about to cross the threshold of your discomfort. That is the time to start slowly moving out of the pose. Returning to an erect posture will require some effort, but you can minimize it by coordinating your movement with your inhalation. This is what Patanjali means by prayatna shaitilya, effortless effort. Each time we repeat this practice, we cross our previous threshold of discomfort comfortably. In other words, practicing a posture effortlessly pushes the threshold of discomfort further away, allowing the range of our comfort zone to expand. In this expanded comfort zone, we are able to experience the stability of our posture. Stability and comfort go hand in hand, allowing us to remain relaxed during the peak moments of the posture. Because we are relaxed, the tissues in the area directly engaged by the posture are not constricted, but are free to receive and assimilate the nutrients delivered by the increased blood flow. This accelerates the healing process. We become stronger and more flexible and energetic. Our stamina and endurance expand. Due to the lack of pain, our mind is free to concentrate on the space that occupies the region of the body most directly affected by the pose. In this case, the lower back and the pelvic and abdominal cavities. This is when the second principle leading to perfection in posture, ananta samapatti, mental absorption in the space, applies. The literal meaning of ananta is without an end. The most common meaning is space. In yoga, tantra, and Indian mythology, ananta refers to the shesha, primordial serpent, the absolute remainder. Ananta is the all-pervading intelligence of pure consciousness. It is self-existent and does not require anything as its locus. Rather, its pervasiveness is the locus for everything that exists. In the human body, this all-pervading, self-existent intelligence is indicated by the term Kundalini Shakti. It is the substratum of what we are, the source of all forms of healing power, and the ground for longevity. Just as mitochondria run and regulate our metabolism, Kundalini Shakti supports and guides the general functions and activities that sustain life. Kundalini Shakti is the subtlest of all forms of energy. It has no corollary in the world of matter. It is Chid Akasha, pure space, intelligence without form. It fills every nook and cranny of our body. When we are able to stay in a posture effortlessly, we employ our mind to enter the space in the area most directly affected by the pose. This too is to be done effortlessly. Through prolonged, uninterrupted practice, we reach a point of complete mental absorption in that space. Following the principle laid down in Sutra 141, this absorption infuses the mind with the intelligence of that space. Thereafter, the cascade of transformation begins. The mind becomes as bright and intelligent as the space occupying that area of the body. It becomes acutely aware of the strengths and weaknesses in that area. This awareness further energizes that region and guides the mind in seeing how to overcome those weaknesses. In response to this mental awareness, the brain, in conjunction with the autonomic nervous system and the endocrine gland system, accelerates the process of cleansing and rejuvenation. The end result is that we become clearer, stronger, and more intuitive. When we practice a broad range of asana precisely for a long time while observing all the prerequisites, we acquire sufficient strength and stamina to endure and eventually transcend all physical and emotional pain. This is the subject of the next sutra. I'm just going to read it again. When we practice a broad range of asana precisely for a long time while observing all the prerequisites, we acquire sufficient strength and stamina to endure and eventually transcend all physical and emotional pain. That is the subject of the next sutra. Take a moment, rest, and then come back.